Welcome to the DGD podcast. As always, Robert Reynolds, Kobe Pierce, Juan Daniels. Guys, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
So listen, there's some stuff that happened over the weekend, and I think this might be worth addressing, and we'll keep it short because we've got a loaded show. We're going and doing our own Mount Rushmore today. And listen, because there's been so much going on in the entirety of Georgia football, we're doing two Mount Rushmores. We're going to do a players only and a non-players only as well. So two Mount Rushmores. We're going to a lot to talk about. But first, the show is brought to you by our friends over at Apotheos Roastery. 30 years of experience right out of Kennesaw. Listen, they support the Classic City Collective, the official they are the official coffee and cold brew partner of the collective. Go to dgdpodcast.com/Apotheos, click shop when you see it, and use that link. And whenever you buy any blend of coffee, 20% of the proceeds go directly to the Classic City Collective. Make sure you sign up as well. You can get subscriptions for that coffee as well. Listen, Classic City Collective Dark Roast is probably my favorite so far. I can't wait to try them all just so I can say that I did and to find out which one is the favorite. Just thought that right there. Also give them a follow on Instagram. Their handle is Apotheos Roastery and Twitter is Apotheos Coffee. Go follow them and then go check out the link, dgdpodcast.com/Apotheos. Juan, the bane of your existence got arrested over the weekend. Public intoxication.
That's not true. Keely Ringo, I read, was training all weekend.
Oh, well, I guess now we got to figure out which one is the true bane of his existence. We'll go for the sake of entertainment here. We're going to say Stetson is, but Stetson got arrested over the weekend. Public intoxication out in Dallas. Listen, I'm just going to let y'all know right now. I think it was just a salty ass TCU fan still. That's all I'm going to say. Changed my mind. But we'll make this quick because we got to get into our Mount Rushmore. So what are y'all's overall takeaways from that?
Don't give the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, damn. Go ahead, Kobe.
I'm kind of with Juan. I mean, it's one of those arrests that it's like, okay, cool. He was knocking on a couple doors, but,
I think a lot of people – especially the Stetson haters. I'm not gonna say Juan's a true hater, but like the people that genuinely want to see this guy's downfall, like we're just eating this alive. And I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal. It's not a DUI. It's not, DUI is a lot different, but a public intoxication, I don't think people really understand just how easy it is to get that.
I mean, you could give out about 45,000 of those every home game weekend in Athens.
I mean, there's food for thought, folks. But enough about that. Obviously, I think that's just the news. Listen, you ain't gonna hear anything else out of it for us. I don't think that's gonna be a big detractor for him. Just got to lay off the pappy, okay? Just lay off the pappy. It's that simple. With that being said, shall we jump into the Mount Rushmore? First off, we'll start. We're gonna let Juan choose. Juan, do you want to do the players or the non-players first?
I want to go with the non-players.
All right. Ooh, all right. So
you want to do that?
The criteria for the non-player Mount Rushmore, it's pretty simple, folks. You can't use them as a player. So their playing career has no impact on your decision to use them on a Mount Rushmore. So if you try to say, for instance, Kirby Smart's going to be a hot topic, I know. If you want to choose Kirby Smart, you're either going to pick him in the players, and you can't use his coaching experience or coaching resume, or if you wanted to use him as a coach, you can't use his playing career in that Mount Rushmore. It has to be strictly off the one or the other. So hopefully that makes sense for some folks. Juan, do y'all want to read some of the so we put this poll out on Twitter, and I think there were some interesting comments. Interesting ones. Okay. Let's read through one here. I think this is a good one. So we'll come back to this, but the non-players, right? Tony O _UGA says his four are Vince Dooley, Larry Munson, Dan McGill and Uga. Juan, I think that's an interesting one, but let's go ahead and let's explain your Mount Rushmore.
Okay. So my non-players, my number one is going to be Vince Dooley. When I think about Georgia football, I think of Vince Dooley, and having you'd watch games that they would just talk about he would rush just about as many yards as Herschel Walker did. You've never seen a more animated guy on the sidelines than you would see with Vince Dooley. My other coach is going to be Kirby. What Kirby has brought to this university, and it's not just about championships. He's brought a lot of guys home. He's brought Bobo home. He's brought Muschamp home. You see McClendon is home, and to me, he just embodies what it is to be a true Georgia Bulldog and truly love your love your home. The other one is Irk Russell. That iconic where he's sitting there headbutting people and he's got, blood, going down the side of his head. And that junkyard defense was just outstanding. He just was, tough grit, and just like hunker down. And then speaking of hunker down, you can't be a Georgia fan and not know about Larry Munson. Larry Munson was just everything when it came to Georgia football. To hear his calls, the hobnail boot, run Lindsey run, and he's the only guy that can make a 2 to 3 yard gain sound like it was just something life changing and something great. So that's my non-players when it comes to the Mount Rushmore for Georgia.
I mean, that's an excellent list, and that's a great way to start us off. Listen, I see Adonis in here. No Tebow, okay? No Tebow, no Spurrier. Get that Gator garbage out of here, folks.
Yeah.
Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen at all. I mean, how about this? You can create your own, Adonis. Create your own, and we'll read it out to the folks. And then we'll let everybody in the comments roast you for being a Florida fan that you really are. I think. Sorry, that got me all flustered. I don't want that Gator garbage in here. Obviously you mentioned some excellent names, right? Kobe, do you want to take this or do you want me to go? Actually, you know what? I'll let you go.
Yeah, I'll go.
What are your 4 non-players?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep it, just a little bit different than one. Just in my experiences and like my life as a Georgia fan, try to show Juan's age a little bit too. For me, I think still you have to go Vince Dooley. I still think that there is the standard, and there's a reason it's Dooley Field. There's a reason a lot of things in Georgia athletics are the way they are, and it all kind of starts with him. So to me, he's always got to be the top of the list. I think obviously over the past 2 years, Kirby has cemented himself on that Rushmore as well. I think that there were some questions along the early years of, is he going to be able to get the monkey off his back? Is he finally going to be able to, beat Saban? And he's done that, and then he's exceeded expectations by, going back to back this year. Next, I'm gonna go Uga, but I'm actually gonna take it a step farther, and I'm gonna go Uga 10, the current Uga, the back-to-back national championship Uga, the winningest Uga ever. All those things, but
I'm still upset. I'm still upset that he wasn't able to go out to Los Angeles. I understand why, but I really wish he'd have been there to be able to see that back-to-back beatdown.
Yeah, but so Uga 10 specifically, and then my little curveball is going to be something a little bit more new age, but I think he makes a tremendous impact on this football program and the guys and stuff, but I'm actually going Scott Sinclair, the head strength coach, since Kirby got here. I think that what he's done in the weight room, the mentality he's brought to our players, the fourth quarter program that he's implemented in his own way here. I just think that, when you're enjoying those beatdowns in the fourth quarter, when you're enjoying those, you're running the ball for 270 in a national championship game, I definitely think that, he shoulders a lot of that in what he does to the guys from January up until football season. So they're in it right now, heavy squatting, running, doing things that when people aren't watching. And so I don't know if he gets enough credit during actual football season for what he does during the off season.
No doubt. So we'll read here. So I'll mention, listen, if you're watching this either live or after the show, let's drop your comment with your Mount Rushmores. I want to hear them, and we'll read them out here. As Pat drops in here and chimes in, Dooley, Munson, Kirby, and UGA X. What an elite list that is. Just going to leave that there. Let's go to another. I think there was another one here. Let's see here. Was it this one? Yeah. So Caleb, B2B National Championships has Kirby, Dooley, Mark Richt, first time hearing that name, and Glenn Schumann. That's different. I do love the fact that Mark Richt was in there, because Mark Richt, while he didn't win a national title, he did elevate the program a little bit as well. And the genuine personalities of these players, right? I guarantee you can't tell me a player at least that I know of. If there's a player that played under Mark Richt at Georgia that despises him, please come on and let me know, because I really want to hear the story on what happened. Because I've never heard a single soul that played it, or anyone at Georgia that had played under him, have anything necessarily bad to say from him as a person. Now, coaching, there's sometimes where you come underwhelm, underperform and underwhelm, but ultimately, like the genuine type player he is, it created that family culture here. Like I'm completely on board with that. So I love that name. And Glenn Schumann, though, I mean, Glenn Schumann, part of the back-to-back titles. And listen, I'm going to have to make the assumption here, but could he arguably be the best DC that we've had under Kirby Smart so far? Maybe. Okay, so Adonis also chimed in. After Adonis's comment, I'm going to give you mine. But Adonis, the bane of my existence, Smart, Dooley, Munson, and Richt. And that's that's a great list. There's so many that you could just name off. If I'm going my 4 here, I'm going to start off. I want to say it's UGA 5. Listen, he bit the Auburn player, folks. What else do you need? That is a DGD if I've ever heard one. I'm just going to let you know, because fuck Auburn, that's why. Sorry, Juan.
No, that's good. I was actually at that game. I actually played in that game.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, UGA X is right there too, because, I mean, my man wins, right? Like, my man wins, lives good, eats good. Peter will not cancel him, by the way. Get out of here with that. But UGA 5, man. Like, just going to leave that there. That's all I'm going to say. Because if you bite at an Auburn player, you earn my respect. That's just going to leave that there. Second one, I think we all know, you look at, Kirby Smart already got the most national titles, and that's what, 7-8 years in on the job. And God knows how long he wants to continue here. So you could see more. But he took what Mark Richt did and elevated it to a point where now you're a national powerhouse. Georgia was always, it seems like outside of the 90s era, when Juan was not playing in the 90s, that, Georgia has always been a consistent program, consistently good program. But since Kirby Smart's gotten here, there's no question you're recruiting at an elite level. You're performing on the field at an elite level. And what else? And that's to the tune of 2 national titles and potentially 3 if you really want to go back in the heartbreak of 2017, 2018 season. Just going to leave that there. So, like I said, you still got 2. You're on par for 3. I think there could be a possibility for 3. Right, we'll talk more about that as the season progresses. That's my 2. Apparently, Pat wants to add Juan's bald head as an honorable mention. Listen, I mean, Mount Rushmore is solid stone. So,
but Black Adonis said the box cut Juan was elite.
Juan had a box cut.
I'll have to send you the picture.
I always saw you with the helmet on.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture. You could throw it up there next time. It's pretty bad.
Oh my God, it's bad. No,
It's
come on,
bad.
it could be worse. It could be worse.
No, it's worse. It's worse
boy,
than that.
oh boy. All right. So like I said, I got UGA 5, Kirby Smart. You cannot leave out Vince Dooley. Just obviously, I was not around to watch him, coach like that. I was born in '91, so I mean, ultimately, I caught the. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, well, I caught Kirby off guard there, right? Like, I didn't get to see him win the championship in '80, but we always look at what Georgia has built, and it starts with Vince Dooley. He's the name, he is the coach that you always associate with at the University of Georgia, and I felt like rightfully so, because you have Sanford, you have Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. It's just fitting, and my four. I think it's Jesus Christ, Adonis. He had 3XL shoulder pads and a crop top jersey. He's trying to make me not elite today, man. He's trying to make me not elite today. You cannot have a Mount Rushmore without Larry Munson. You just can't, right? Like when you take a look at play callers or like voice commentators, right? Like Scott Howard today. No discredit to Scott Howard whatsoever, because he's had some elite play calls or calling the game. He's had some elite calls, folks. But Larry Munson made you feel legitimately like he was one of you, and it was just that it's just different feel, right? Like just all you got to do is go back. Like it's not even real time. I go back and watch that and listen to it, and it just makes you feel on the edge of your seat. And you're nervous, and then when you win, I think Juan he called yours a couple times too, right? He called a couple games for you.
All of mine, yeah.
So
all of mine, he was fantastic. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic.
And this is no dig at Scott Howard at all.
This is
and
not
Scott,
whatsoever.
Scott, if you hear this, I'm sorry. I really love you. This is not personal.
Yeah,
but
it's legends are legends.
The call in the Ohio State game. Has anybody heard the Ohio State game radio call?
No. Good. Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan in like that moment. Like to me, I don't know. When you think about some of Munson's biggest,
what you got the hunker down.
But like, I mean, when I just think some of his biggest calls and how iconic they were, and then I think about like his call in that Ohio State game this year, it's like it just will never. I'll never listen to that and be like, that's one of the top 10 best calls I've ever heard.
I will tell you this though, to defend Scott Howard, we look at that right there as maybe one that could have been done better. And listen, we're not critiquing it too much, but I will say that Rose Bowl call, Swift running it back to Philadelphia, and then even call now. Keep in mind, 2021 national championship, our first one, right? He was sick as shit in that, like sick as shit. You could hear it, but the fact that he went on and called that entire game just purely just like sick as a damn dog, that tells me stuff that I need to know too. He genuinely cares about it, right? Like you just have to do that. It seems like they're roasting Juan today in the chat. Juan's kind of just sitting back chilling about this. Juan, did you play in black and white on Tube TV?
Yeah, I obviously I did. Actually, my
telegraph the highlights. Damn.
No, my games were like you could watch them if you take a book and you know how you write in pencil like once on every page and you flip it real fast. That's basically what it looked like.
Jesus Christ!
Patrick said it. They were telegraph highlights.
Oh geez, you got glory on 8-track?
On 8-track.
Yeah, not even the Walkman either. Before time.
Translation one's crazy.
No, I'll tell you what though. When you hear the voice of Georgia football, right? And you go back to Munson, there were so many interesting series of events, right? Everybody knows Run Lindsay Run. My God, a freshman, Hobnail Booth.
Sorry.
No, so last comment, and then I'm gonna get back onto my hot.
Black Adonis, yeah, he's really doing it.
So he says, if you look closely, if you look closely, you can see Juan running behind Lindsey Scott. The call was actually Juan Lindsey Juan.
Oh, boy.
Juan, apparently, Pat said they're doing the Lord's work today. Is this true? Apparently so.
Sad.
Apparently so.
That's one of the better ones we've had in a while.
That was good.
That really was. You got him laughing 20 minutes in, ultimately. So, I mean, it's pretty damn impressive to me.
Kudos today, Black Adonis. That was
he did it today.
That was creative.
Because now, I really want to look close at that run to see if I'm really there.
I want to know, can we edit Juan running behind, outrunning Lindsey to the end zone?
Yeah.
I'd be down. But no, I guess going back to my topic here, what I was talking about. When you look at and you listen to Larry Munson, right? Like everybody's familiar with, Run Lindsey Run. Like I said, you got the memorable ones. My God, a freshman, the Herschel moment. You've got Hobnail Boot, which Tennessee fans to this day still despise that shit. I love it. So much so that they took a jab at when Josh Dobbs threw that Hail Mary. They called it the Dobnail Boot. But Tennessee ain't been the same since. Don't at me with that. But, one of my favorite ones, though, Ron, was the entire touchdown drive against Georgia Tech. And it was so common to hear him like, "Oh my God, a touchdown!" and his voice, man, it's that iconic voice. It really is. Yeah. It's just, and like I said, Scott Howard, if you're listening to this, we love you. It is nothing personal. You do an excellent job. Trust me, I promise. But it's so hard to replace an iconic legend like Larry Munson. And with that being said, if you don't have Larry Munson on your Mount Rushmore for Georgia football in regards to non-players, if you want to go that way, I have to question the UGA card at that point. Yeah. Knowing
damn good and well he just heard me read off my four people.
Yeah. He basically open hand slapped you, but
he did.
We'll make an exception for Kobe. How about that? If you didn't play, how about this? If you didn't play,
he had that. You notice one. He had that in his pocket.
He did.
He was like
he couldn't even wait.
Earlier, he was like, "Should I go or do you want to go?" You know what? We'll let you go.
Yeah.
And he knew then. It was ready to rock.
Yeah. He had that plan last week, man. He couldn't even wait.
Yeah.
Good.
And premeditated. Put him away. Lock him up.
First degree. Juan, you talked about this offline. You want to do something different here. You want to do another Mount Rushmore, but for the people that you played with, correct?
Or just players just in general.
Okay.
I sent him that message.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I put Juan, period.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's what threw you off.
Yep. Sorry. So Kobe, let me go back and backtrack here. You want to do a Mount Rushmore for players that you played with, correct?
Yes.
With that being said,
regular one.
Okay. So listen, we're going to throw a curveball here, folks. We'll do 3 for Kobe and Juan if he chooses. I'm sticking to the 2 because obviously I didn't play at Georgia. It's that simple. Kobe, I'll let you break that down. What's your Mount Rushmore for players that you played with?
I think I'm gonna start out. Nick Chubb is gonna be my first top of the mountain. I think he had such a phenomenal freshman year. With we had Todd goes out NCAA, and then he also gets hurt. Nick runs for 1,500 yards as a freshman. Just unbelievable. Into his sophomore year, we're building a lot of Heisman hype his sophomore year. He's had 13 games in a row that he's run for at least 100 yards. Then he has a really, really horrific injury to his knee.
That Tennessee injury was ugh.
And people are saying, he's never going to be the same. He may never play again. He comes out, he does an unbelievable job rehabbing. Comes out his junior year, looks good, but it doesn't look like the Nick Chubb we once saw, and then decides to come back for a senior year. I mean, he just left, to me, any doubt that he could be, the second best running back to ever play here in the dust. So he's going to start it off. Along with that 2017, I'm going to go Roquan. I mean, dude's just phenomenal. Highest paid linebacker in the NFL right now. First Butkus Award winner here. Won the Butkus again this year for the best professional linebacker. I mean, just overall, both these guys not only are great football players, but great guys. Like, talk to you, super personal, whatever you kind of need them to do. Next, I'm kind of keeping the train rolling here with Jordan Davis. Unbelievable player, but also unbelievable person. He kind of cemented that interior of that defensive line last year. Just really good guy. Would do anything for you. Would do anything for anybody. I think he deserves a spot. And then, Juan, I'm gonna go with the quarterback that won back-to-back natties. I played with him when he was a walk-on. Partied with him when he was a walk-on. Played with him again when he came back on scholarship for a couple of years, and I think he has a out of my 4 years, he deserves to be up there.
I'm surprised you didn't say Hot Rod. I'm with Adonis. No Hot Rod.
No Hot Rod.
Now you were a long snapper for punting, right? You were the punt.
Holder man.
Holder.
Hey, special teams matters, folks. I'm just gonna let y'all know that right there.
Oh man.
I mean, hell, Kobe, you were a long snapper at Georgia, so it shows you. Hey, special teams matters, man.
It does. It doesn't mean you deserve to be. It doesn't mean you deserve to be one of the 4 best players that I played with.
I mean, there were some elite snaps, if I'm not mistaken.
There were. I played with 2 NFL, 3 NFL, 3.5, depending on how. Jake Camarda I played with. He punts in the NFL. Nick Moore, long snapped ahead of me. He plays in the NFL. Hot Rod kicks here and there in the NFL if he can make a roster again.
I think he would. Listen, I think he has to at some point.
Cam Nizelek in 2017, he's bounced around a couple practice squads. I think he's playing in the XFL currently. We have some good specialists that played here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't if I'm having a draft and you're giving me the first pick, I'm not taking one of them. I'm taking Nick Chubb.
There you go. Look at that. Adonis wanted the smoke, and Kobe brought it all. All right. Juan, do you want to take a crack at the Mount Rushmore for guys that you've played with, or do you want to hold off on it?
Well, I want to just do half and half, like 2 I played with, and then 2 just that I just think.
Okay, listen. Hey, we'll do that. That's fine. What you got?
I'll start with the all time. Herschel Walker. That's just that's the no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was just outstanding. You got and then you got Matthew Stafford. Was just he was just awesome. Unfortunately, they just didn't win a championship. If they were in the format now, then they would have probably won a national championship. I think it was 2007. And then also too, you look at it, he's one of the dogs that won the Super Bowl. For the 2 guys that I played with, Champ Bailey, just outstanding. He was a freshman when I was a senior, but you could see right then just his technique, the way that he played was just awesome. He goes on to the NFL and does unbelievable. Is in the Hall of Fame. And then of course Hines Ward, just probably one of the hardest working guys, most humble, nicest guys that you'll ever meet, but will knock you completely out if he gets an opportunity. Goes on to be the all-time leader at Pittsburgh. And he'll be a Hall of Famer as well. So
there were some. Listen, I know in your time there has to be some honorable mentions because you said Hines Ward and Champ Bailey, but you also got guys like Zaire. You've got Bobo.
Yeah.
What Terrell? Were you there with Terrell as well?
Terrell Davis. Yeah, Terrell Davis was there.
Garrison
those
was
are
right
honorable
before
mentions.
you, correct?
Say that again.
Garrison Hurst was basically
he was there my freshman year. Yeah, he and Andre Hastings were there my freshman year.
Yeah.
But if I'm also going to give some honorable mentions, it's going to be Georgia Tech from 93 to 96. they helped all of us get a lot of stats, put us in the record books, and all that other kind of stuff. So I appreciate them. Like, I would have them on the entire backside of the mountain.
Oh, hey, you know what though? Mount Rushmore can't be built without the mountain anyway.
I was
right?
going to say they were built the mountain.
Yeah, that's true.
We carving up at Stone Mountain so they can look down in Atlanta and like we own you.
Exactly.
There you go. We're gonna take a quick break, and on the flip side, we're gonna go into our true players only. So stick around. We'll be right back. And we're back, folks. Obviously, now it's time to go into the players only Mount Rushmore. Right before the break, you heard Kobe, you heard Juan talk about their special curveball, if you will, for Mount Rushmores that they had played with. Juan, I thought, a lot of people look at the mid-90s, or, mid-90s as like tough times, but really look at all the talent that they had. Even then. Adonis, it is not an Auburn shirt, sir. It's not. You ain't gonna catch me dead in that. Juan, you might catch, not me.
That is their colors, and they are sponsored by Under Armour. But we'll just
what looks like. Listen,
are they also sponsored by Apotheos, or is it just us?
I think it's just the dogs, man.
Okay.
See, it looks orange, but it's actually a salmon, like Russ.
Salmon. Salmon. Oh man, that's great. It's what was it? I had my microphone up ahead of me one time, and I think it was Tanil or JOWG thought that it was orange, but it's not. So the lighting on my camera side of things makes things look a lot brighter than it really is. Makes it look salmon. Okay.
It looks salmon.
It makes it look orange. It makes it look Auburn orange. That's what it makes it look like.
Yeah, I know, right? But anyways, let's get back to business. Juan apparently is rubbing off on me because now apparently the Auburn shirt, not the case. Farthest thing from it. Players only. So the criteria for this one, like I said, you can't use like if you use Kirby Smart, you can't use his coaching. You have to use his playing time only. Kobe, I'm gonna let you start on this one.
So I did players only.
No slaps. No slaps only. I promise. No slaps are coming.
Yeah, I got you. I did players only, but to try to like not conflict with you or Juan, I try to do like people that I have actually watched play in a Georgia uniform.
Yeah, I got you.
So I got top of the list, Todd Gurley. That man was a menace in a Georgia uniform. Was a menace for a few years in the NFL too. I mean,
North Carolina's finest.
You take away the NCAA violation his junior year, I say he probably has a good chance to touch that Heisman that year. But he was phenomenal. The fact that he returned kicks, like I didn't realize, and Robert, there's levels to it, but like I didn't realize till I got to Georgia how impressive it is that he returned kicks while he was at Georgia too. Like we've had some damn good players here.
Everybody remembers that 2014 Clemson run back.
They can't return kicks. I mean, like the fact that he had that much speed and vision on top of it is just really impressive.
Yep.
Next, I'm going with AJ Green. Unbelievable. So, kind of same way. Got a little NCAA trouble along the way, but he kind of changed the receiver position here at Georgia. I mean, I think you kind of compare everybody to him, at least in my lifetime growing up. It's like, oh, George, he reminds you of AJ. Oh, whoever, he reminds you of AJ Green. It's kind of the whole that whole thing. Next is going to be a little bit more, I'll skip it. He'll be last. Aaron Murray's probably next for me. I just think he played really consistent for a couple of years. I know Juan said Stafford, and Stafford was really good. He's a great player, got drafted, number 1 overall. But Murray in his time just was at Georgia specifically was really, really good, really dominant. A lot of records have his name beside him. And then last is more personal for me. Grew up playing offensive line, playing center, a couple different things. But David Andrews, who played center here and now plays center for the Patriots. Probably my fourth man on that list. He was quite the offensive lineman here and has had quite a great NFL career as well.
Bishop Don does not. Hey, listen, we posted a question in the comments. We're talking players now, obviously. Does Stetson Bennett deserve to be on a UGA Mount Rushmore? Leave that in the comments. Let us know. We'll read them off if you do. If you comment, we'll read them off. Kobe, honestly, that's a great list. You know what, though? I will tell you this. So obviously, understanding where Todd Gurley came from, North Carolina, probably one of the best Georgia players to ever come from the state. Like you got Zeus from Laurinburg. Tim Worley is another one that a lot of people might not realize came from Lumberton area. So North Carolina has been good to the Dogs over the time as well. Obviously, you got Georgia as a state and everything like that. But just going to let you know that North Carolina's been good to them Dogs. All right? And also, though, like A.J. Green, right, coming out of Summerville, South Carolina, when I was stationed in Charleston, talking to folks around the area that, like, really understood the football there, like the stories for him coming out of high school alone, the kid was ridiculous. It was insane. And then the fact that it translated over into Georgia, right, with having Matt Stafford being, the quarterback to throw to him, good Lord. Like, it's insane. Juan Daniels, take a crack at your players only.
Players only. I mean, it's pretty much the same that I had before. If I'm looking at, just offensively, I in all time, I'd have Stafford at the quarterback. I'd have Herschel in the backfield. I'd have Hines Ward as one of the receivers. And I did say something about Champ Bailey, but what I do like about what Kobe said is AJ Green completely, seemed like he revolutionized, what it was to be an elite receiver. Hines Ward was really good, but he didn't really, blossom or get that much better until he got into the pros. But when you looked at a guy like him, I mean, he was outstanding. So that would be, I think, that my forte. And obviously too, I'm an offensive guy, so naturally that's the first thing I'm going to look at.
So I got to read up before you do this real fast. So Pat dropped his players only. He's got Juan Daniels, Don Waniels, the GOAT, and some dude named Herschel. And he asked, which version of Juan do I take off my list?
I would say Don Waniels, that he didn't necessarily pan out the way that we thought he would. So
can't relate. You know what I mean? Like, heard he's a little slow.
Is that mentally or physically or
both of them?
Both of them.
There we go. It was coming. The second comment was coming. Not a lot of straight line speed.
Yeah.
Oh man, Juan, you already did your 4. I felt like that was extremely fast.
Yeah.
Wow, that was fast, man.
When you are the GOAT, it's easy to know.
Yeah, you got to
2, 3, 4, 5 are.
Rip those off.
Mine's going to be a little bit different, right? I want to use a Mount Rushmore. Obviously, listen, I'm going to throw a little curveball in mine, and the reason why I want it to be the most important for me, instead of, listen, everybody knows Herschel. Like, I get it, and you can't. Anyone can't be, but for the sake of entertainment, I'm going to do the most influential for me as a person. 1, Todd Gurley, come from North Carolina, arguably one of the best running backs in the Georgia program history. I'm not saying he is the best, but one of them. And obviously the importance of what he was able to bring to that time at Georgia. 2, Matt Stafford, best quarterback Georgia's ever had. Not saying most successful, but the best quarterback Georgia's ever had. No doubt about it. I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here and go no Sean Marino. The reason why I say no Sean Marino is this. The plays that he made were instrumental for me becoming a Dog fan. The one specifically was that leap at Arizona State. That was the first time I really got to watch Georgia a lot for me back in 07, 08. Growing up, I had CBS. We didn't have cable, so I had CBS, and you watched whatever SEC game was on at 3:30, and that was it. So I did get to see Georgia here and there, but not nearly enough to really get that feel. But when No Sean Marino and Georgia started getting out to ESPN and things like that, it really opened me up to see a lot more. And boy, oh boy, when he did that at Arizona down in Tempe, Jesus, that solidified it to me. And the fourth, should I do Juan Daniels? Should I do Juan Daniels just for the hell of it?
Oh
Now, apparently, listen, even Ryan Gosling from Remember the Titans had Don Juanios on lock.
Yeah.
That's terrible. First
That's
off,
bad,
terrible.
man. That's
terrible.
That's terrible.
Bad.
Because
That is
bad.
and then the game afterwards, Ryan lost his position. So
He did. Damn, he did.
yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, so to round it all off though, 4, dude, there's no way I can leave Nick Chubb off that list. Nick Chubb just, God almighty, whoo. Y'all remember his first touchdown run? It was silly. He just it was insane.
Is it the
runs
one
out of
lost the shoe?
Yeah.
Munson?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Well, that was 2014. I think was that the 2014 game. I think it was.
Correct.
Yeah. So, dude, just an extremely great runner. Holds the record for most yards as a running back, I think. Or Herschel still does that, but he holds some records for Georgia. I thought maybe it was in a season or something. I don't know. I feel like regardless, you can't leave Nick Chubb off. That's just the one for me, that's the curveball Mount Rushmore. If you got to go general, I think it's almost a unanimous here. Herschel Walker, David Pollack is a great name to have on there. Champ Bailey, Hines Ward. I think you can all look at that. But Charlie Trippi, Frank Sequinch, right? Just kind of threw a little bit of a curveball in there, right? I think you have to. Do y'all want to do something fun? Let's do a players only, all time, right? Kobe, I know you mentioned you did yours based off of people you've seen in your lifetime. Let's all collectively on the fly make up a Mount Rushmore of all time for players. You want to do that real fast? Kobe, I'll let you start.
One of them, Herschel Walker. That's I think would be.
So yeah, Herschel's unanimous. So I guess what we'll do now is we'll each pick. How about we each make one pick to the Mount Rushmore now that we know Herschel's going to be on there, because you can't just not have them on there.
Yeah,
I think that's unanimous dead giveaway. Kobe, who would you choose if you had one pick to go on your Mount Rushmore?
I'm gonna go with I just guess I'm going Nick Chubb still. He to me in my lifetime, he is the epitome of what a damn good dog is. Come back, play again, just be an unbelievable leader, humble, just kind of quiet, nose to the grindstone in the weight room. It's just who he is, and to me, it makes him one of the best to ever play.
Yeah. Apparently, Landon says Kobe's his only vote. There you go, Kobe. You've made a Mount Rushmore. Juan, you have your own Mount Rushmore.
Mount Swolemore is.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No room on the mountain for anybody else.
Right.
This ain't Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
Juan, Juan's got his own Mount Rushmore apparently. So who would you put on your all-time UGA Mount Rushmore?
I'm gonna go with Roquan. What he did in that national championship game where he goes and rips his player. Sorry, Nakobe. Was that Nakobe Dean? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nakobe Dean goes and rips his player. The player comes back there, makes an unbelievable play in that national championship. You can't find any better leadership. And even when they did that ESPN thing with Kirk Herbstreit, they all basically said, we listened to Nakobe. And for that, to me, that was the greatest defense that I've ever physically watched. I've watched some good defenses with Alabama's, the LSU's all the way across, but that was an unbelievable defense. So for him to be the captain and the leader of that, that's a lot of control for one guy to have, and for, to put their faith into him to win that national championship. Give me Nakobe Dean. He has to be up there.
That is, I mean, it's hard to say. I know you mentioned Roquan, and I think Roquan is right there too. Listen, that's arguably the best linebacker we've had ever. Like, there's easy debate between if you chose the best linebacker, like you've got Roquan, you've got Nakobe Dean. What you think, maybe a Boss Bailey or somebody like that, but I think the first two you think Nakobe and Roquan, right? Like, and that's crazy because there's been so many damn good defensive players. Thomas Davis was another example.
Oh yeah.
But even though Thomas Davis, didn't he play? He was a safety.
Yeah, he was a strong safety. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, but you look at his success at a linebacker and the pros, and it just turned out to be like, damn, he transitioned. And what would it have been like had he played, linebacker at Georgia? It would have been insane. For mine, I'm going Pollack, man. Like, I don't think people understand, unless you're a Georgia fan, just how fucking good he was. Like, he was just ridiculous. 3-time All-American, like, arguably one of the best defensive players we've had, right? And that's saying something because you've had so many guys come up through, like so many, even on the defensive line itself, right? Like, it's just ridiculous. Richard Seymour could be another name you throw out there. Got to give him a safety love, though, man. Like, think like Greg Blue. Like, right? Like, Greg Blue, arguably the scariest Georgia safety we've ever had.
He's knocking people out, man.
I had the pleasure of talking to him on the show. He earned one of my favorite safety status, period, by knocking the hell out of that hit on that Auburn receiver.
Oh, yeah. He'd have missed half of his games at Georgia if they were playing with the rule.
Oh my God.
The targeting rule.
Dude, if targeting was enforced like it was back then, honestly, would Greg Blue ever be a name like that at this point? I honestly don't know. Yeah. The dude was petrifying as a safety. Like in one, obviously, doesn't it suck to have a Mount Rushmore with only 4 because there's so many greats that's been guys through Georgia football, man. Like, and Pat corrected me, obviously confirming I was correct. He was a linebacker in the safety at Georgia, linebacker in the Panthers.
And I think that kind of segues into what we've talked about before with you saying, it's hard to do a top 4. Let us know if you want us to do a true all-decade team. I think that we could go through from the 70s, all the way to current day and go position by position and do all-decade teams, because I agree, it is tough to say, what 4 players in 100 years are the best 4 players to ever play here.
Y'all just got to let it listen. We listen to y'all. This is for the people, by the people, man. By the people, for the people. Listen, you tell us what y'all want to hear. We will do it. Now, we're not going to do nothing Florida related for Adonis. You can go on with that, sir. However,
I'll do my favorite 4 Florida players that we just beat the hell out of.
Do you want to do it? Listen,
like, you know what I mean? Like, just
we're gonna make a decision right here, right now.
Number 1, Felipe, Mr. Interception Franks.
Oh yeah,
threw a lot of passes to people in red and black uniforms. He might be top Mount Rushmore.
My favorite coach is Dan Mullen. He would definitely be up there on Mount Rushmore.
I don't know who was my man before him. The guy that they said
Jim McElwain.
Yeah, wasn't he the one that they said took the naked picture with the shark? That surfaced on?
Probably.
That was a pretty good one. That was a pretty good one.
No. Yeah. Muschamp, he redeemed himself by coming over to Georgia. Outside of that, he probably would have been one of our top picks for the Florida.
Well, he went to South Carolina first, though.
Yeah.
Pat will have to look it up. Another shout out to whoever fumbled that ball in, I think it was a 2012 game. He was going to score, and we punched
my God,
on the fumble.
I know.
Shout out that receiver. Appreciate that.
It was a tight end.
It was a good looking out.
That was looking out for old number 1.
You talking about Jarvis Jones, right? The one
I think Jarvis Jones punched it out, but
y'all keep it up. Y'all keep going. I'll look it up.
Yeah, well, and shout out to that '97 Florida team that helped us break that curse, and then after that we just started,
Shout out to the Florida team that let Lindsey run. I got a couple of them.
I'll tell you right now, Adonis is punching air right now. He ain't happy about this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Shout out to the 2020 Florida Gators. You might have beat us, but man, was it a fun season to watch y'all choke it away.
Yeah.
What about
Shout out to
every
Florida
se-
for letting Cam Newton go. I mean, even though he was out there stealing laptops, but shout out to.
What about every Florida team prior to Steve Spurrier? Because they all been ass.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Well, except for that '83 team was pretty decent when they had Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
He was,
sorry, you had a generational running back. Gotcha.
Yeah. But then
Shout
after
out.
that, they went back. They went back to trash.
Shout out the team. I don't remember what year it was. When
that's right. The 2020 throwing this shoe.
Yeah, that's what. And then that was a great one. The other one, I don't remember what year it was, but when they had Jeff Driscoll and they started 6-0, and then he got deemed ineligible for the rest of the year, and they lost like 4 games following that.
Driscoll was in like the mid 2010s.
Yeah, it was. But
like
whatever. I mean, they came
out
looking hot. They're 6-0, like top 10. I don't know. And then he got popped for PEDs and left. And I think they finished the year maybe.
Listen, I'm gonna give Florida some credit. That 06 to 08 era when they had Percy Harvin and Tebow. Listen, that was a legit good team.
And Aaron Hernandez, they had a lot of
Chris Leak too. Chris Leak from Independence.
Cam was on that team. They had a legitimate. He did a great job with dealing with a lot of those convicts.
He was.
It was deemed the Ministry of Convicts. Y'all remember that?
He was a warden. Is basically what he was.
I mean, he was like just all crew with the meme machine.
Yeah.
Who's caretaker? So apparently Pat has an issue. He ran into an issue trying to pull up a Gator stats, but Cam stole his laptop.
Yeah.
Ouch. Everybody remembers 2007, the UGA dance. Guys, why don't we think about this? Maybe sometime soon we need to do a best of like Florida Gators game moments against just the Gators. Maybe we could do that.
Or against the Gators and Auburn too. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about the Pouncey twins. Yeah. Clown.
I think Adonis was a caretaker back then. I really think so. Maybe that's the case. It's crazy that we talked so much about Florida Gators, but I mean, literally outside of C. Spurrier and Urban Meyer, you've been absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Go for
you. Muschamp years were really, really bad, and then I can't even think of the guy who was there before Muschamp.
Oh Jesus. Adonis, did you like Chris? Did you like Chris?
It went straight from no. It was a guy between Urban and Muschamp.
Yep, I can't think of the guy's name. He was really bad. They even had I want to say the Twitter handle that was like fire or such. I can't even think of his name. I mean, he was all. I think he came from Illinois. He used to be the head coach at Illinois.
Jesus.
I don't know.
Help us out, Pat.
Yeah.
Adonis said, "Come to the treehouse." Yeah. I mean, honestly though, like if we go back to it though, right? I think. Ultimately, to wrap this thing up and kind of revert away from the Gator garbage, we've talked too much about the Gators. It's time to flip back to the real team. That's the Georgia Bulldogs. They're so, like I said, it's so hard to create a Mount Rushmore, right? Like I said, so much so that we did 2, and like we started with 2 and ended up doing 4 or 5, like depending on circumstances and stuff. So obviously, it's very subjective, but like I said, leave us in the comments, leave us a Mount Rushmore that and then we'll maybe bring them up on the next show. All right. If you like the Mount Rushmore idea, concepts, let us know. Like the show, comment, things like that. It doesn't go unnoticed. Also, Kobe, you mentioned this all-decade team, perhaps. If y'all want to see that, listen, everybody knows that while you wait for the season to start, things get slow, if you will. Not Wednesday, though, but – there are some times when you can see some, stuff slow down, but we don't stop around here on the DGD podcast. We don't stop, folks.
It was Ron Zook. Sorry.
Oh God.
Sorry, Ron Zook. But yeah, he was horrible.
Juan, I know the problems with Juan though. Juan had to go up against Spurrier his entire collegiate career.
It was terrible.
Yeah, oh God.
It was terrible.
Oh God. Anyways, let us know in the comments what your Mount Rushmore would be. Give us some criteria too, just to make sure we understand it. Obviously, your Mount Rushmore is your Mount Rushmore. Black Adonis asked, and I think this will be our last comment before we wrap this thing up. How long did it take y'all to carve the original Mount Rushmore? Juan, do you remember?
Man, it was probably about 120 something years. It was tough. We didn't have the technology that you have today. We literally had like the chisel and the hammer, and we had to go out there and just
and the wagon, basically like you were building the Egyptian pyramids on.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's old school right there.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, folks, I think obviously, listen, Mount Rushmore's and Mount Rushmore's. There's so much history behind in Georgia football that I don't know you'll find some folks that have common Mount Rushmore's, but dude, you could literally have 100 Mount Rushmore's and not all of them be 100% identical. Guaranteed.
This just came to my head. I don't know why. And Juan, you can help me. Is his name Mike? Was that his name? The fan that paints the bulldog on his head.
Oh God, he passed away. Yeah.
Was Grant his dad did it? He did it. Now his son does it. Was it Mike?
Keeping that tradition.
I don't know what it is.
I know who you're talking about, guys.
Yeah.
I just don't know the name.
Honorable mention, non-player.
Yeah.
Hold on. What about the student? What about the student in the video that's painted all white? It's the power of the dogs. I'm just letting y'all know that video summarizes the entire Georgia fan base from anyone outside of it. That's what people look at. So it is iconic with the Georgia fan base. And
Mike Woods.
Mike Woods.
Mike
okay.
Woods. He's who paints. Used
what
to
about
paint his head.
Hold on. I cannot do this. I have to give my one honorable mention because we've had them on before. The fucking Spike Squad.
Oh, yeah.
You can't have UGA and an accurate representation without the Spike Squad. Eric Johnson says, honorable mention to Uncle Lou. Okay, fair enough. Funny dude. Gets a lot of trolls, though. Gets a lot of trolls from other teams around the NCAA. Not gonna lie, though. It's funny to listen to. If you want to hear some shit talk, go listen to Uncle Lou. Just let you know that. Other than that, though, folks, listen. Great show. I enjoyed this. I love these topics because you always do this with your friends and stuff. So it's fun to put this on in the live form, right? Kobe, Juan, any final words before we wrap this thing up?
When is football season?
Oh my
gosh, this is painful.
Why is it
baseball season? Baseball season's right around the corner. Georgia
well,
baseball.
I'm just ready for us to start. To start our three-peat. So.
Okay. So I get that. Speaking of, Kobe mentioned the baseball team. What about the basketball team snapping that losing streak to South Carolina, coming back and winning that game in overtime? Juan, I don't know how versed you are with the other Georgia sports, but
there's some games that they have on their schedule ahead of them that are very winnable, and then there's some ass beatings ahead as well. You're at Alabama, you're at Arkansas. You just got whooped at Tennessee. So there's some ugly games ahead, but there are a couple winnable games. I think overall Mike White's doing a great job kind of turning around what was an abysmal basketball team the past 3 years. Yeah,
that shit was hard to watch.
And I think we're excelling in pole vaulting too, so that'll be something just to keep an eye on.
Juan, is there any way, and this will literally be the last comment, is there any way that you have pictures of Don Waniels? Can you find them in the record books?
Let me look, and then that way I can send you what I have, and then we can post them on the on Twitter.
Was he the box cut?
Yeah, he was the box. He was the box.
Oh, he was? Okay, so fair enough. All right. With that being said, folks, if you enjoyed the show, like, subscribe. If you listen to podcasts, if you like it, let us know. Leave us a review. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it helps the show tremendously. With that being said, apparently Black Adonis said high jump. I can't help you there, Adonis. I don't know. With that being said, have a great rest of your day. Tune in Wednesday. For those that keep up with recruiting, traditional national signing day is Wednesday. Dogs looking to finish strong. I'm just going to let y'all know that. And not only for the 23 class. Keep that in mind. With that being said, have a great rest of your day. We'll catch y'all back here Wednesday. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.